Good morning, students. In our last class, we discussed about Mendel's monohybrid and dihybrid cross. Today, we are going to see what Mendel interpreted from these crosses. What was the conclusion of Mendel? So, let's discuss Mendel's interpretation. The first sentence that was given by Mendel was that a pair of unit factors are going to control a character. We can see these lines he said. So, pair of unit factors control a character. Now, the most important thing here to understand is the term factors. He used this term factor for genes. Today we know that genes are present on chromosome. At that time, जब मेंडल काम कर रहे थे उस टाइम पे जीन्स के बारे में कोई नहीं जानता था. So he called them factors. That there are factors that are present on chromosomes, and these factors are responsible for controlling a character. Say if I explain you with the help of an example, then height of the plant is a character, and the factors that are responsible, these are small t, or you can say the second one is capital T. So the situation it can be small t, or it can be capital T or small t. So this is a pair of factor, and this pair of factor is responsible for controlling the character. And what is the character? Character is the height of the plant. This was said by Mendel. And the second statement was that during gamete formation, these pair of factors are going to segregate from each other. They are going to separate from each other. And this is, you can say, analyze with that during gamete formation, homologous chromosomes are going to separate from each other. And because these homologous chromosomes are separating from each other, that means the factors that are present in them, they are also going to separate from each other. So one gamete is going to receive this homologous chromosome with capital T, and the second gamete is going to receive the another pair with small t. So gamete formation के टाइम पे ये homologous chromosomes एक दूसरे से separate हो जाते हैं. Because of that, the factors are also going to separate from each other. So I am writing this statement also, that unit factors are going to separate during the time of gamete formation. And each gamete is going to receive one of them. Now from this statement comes the first law of inheritance. And what this first law of inheritance is? This is law of segregation. So this is first law of inheritance. And this first law of inheritance can be stated as there is separation of unit factors, or simply we can say there is separation of alleles that are present on the homologous chromosomes during the time of gamete formation. Gamete formation के टाइम पे homologous chromosomes एक दूसरे से separate होते हैं, वो independently gametes में travel करते हैं, inherit होते हैं, and they will be fused together when they are going to form zygote. So this is first law of segregation, and this first law of segregation can be easily explained by Mendel's monohybrid क्रॉस. अगर हम मेंडल का मोनोहाइब्रिड क्रॉस देखते हैं, सो वी वर हैविंग दिस प्योर लाइन पेरेंट प्लांट्स, these were our plants. So during gamete formation, each gamete is going to receive only one of the factor out of pair, and later on they will be involved in fertilization or zygote formation. So this is Mendel's first law of inheritance. The second statement that was given by Mendel was again the dominant recessive relationship. So here we talked about law of segregation. Second is law of dominance. Law of dominance basically you can say universally function नहीं करता है, because sometimes we are also having some of the examples of incomplete dominance, जहाँ पर एक allele fully dominant नहीं होता है. So we are having two important laws. First one is law of segregation, and we are going to discuss the next one also, that is law of independent assortment. But still there is law of dominance that is going to function in some of the organisms, like Pisum sativum में law of dominance function करता है, because यहाँ पर clear cut दो contrasting characters present होते हैं. So what law of dominance is saying? Again simple, if two alleles are present in which one is dominant and other one is recessive, a heterozygous situation is there, then the dominant one is going to express itself and the recessive one is not going to show its expression. This is law of dominance. But remember always that this is not going to express itself in F1 generation. That doesn't mean that this recessive allele is going to be lost. It is always going to be present, and whenever it is going to get chance, when homozygous recessive situation will be there, so at that time it is going to express itself. Recessive allele lost नहीं होता है, it is always going to maintain itself in each and every generation. We saw that F1 generation में recessive allele is present, but वो express नहीं हुआ, because यहाँ पर सारे plants हमें कैसे मिले थे, tall height के. But जब इन plants के बीच में self pollination हुआ, then we saw that what was the result? This was the result of F2 generation. So in F2 generation, the recessive allele got the chance because of homozygous recessive situation and it expressed itself. तो expression ना होने के बावजूद भी the allele is going to be present और chance मिलने में ये अपना expression देता है. So it is always going to be present. This is important. And another one is Mendel's second law of inheritance. And what Mendel's second law of inheritance is? It is law of independent assortment. What law of independent assortment is saying? This law states that the genes which are controlling characters, like in dihybrid cross हमने दो genes या दो pair of factors को consider किया था, दो characters को एक साथ consider किया था. So they are going to inherit independently. दो genes भी एक दूसरे के साथ attached नहीं होते हैं, independently inherit करते हैं. Yesterday I told you that in dihybrid cross हमें 4 phenotypes मिले थे F2 generation में, in which 2 were parental type, जो हमारा राउंड येलो था और रिंकल्ड ग्रीन था, वो पेरेंटल टाइप थे, पेरेंट्स ऐसे ही थे. लेकिन इन बिटवीन फाउंड 2 फिनोटाइप्स जो रिकॉम्बिनेंट्स थे, नए कॉम्बिनेशंस थे, वो पेरेंट्स में प्रेजेंट नहीं थे. न्यू कॉम्बिनेशंस तभी पॉसिबल हैं व्हेन राउंड इज नॉट एसोसिएटेड विद येलो एंड रिंकल्ड इज नॉट एसोसिएटेड विद ग्रीन. दोनों इंडिपेंडेंटली इनहेरिट होंगे, एक दूसरे के साथ अटैच नहीं रहेंगे, लिंक्ड नहीं रहेंगे, तो ही रिकॉम्बिनेंट्स पॉसिबल हैं. and Mendel found recombinants in F2 generation. That simply states that these pair of genes which are responsible for different characters, they are going to be inherit independently. That is Mendel's second law of inheritance, law of independent assortment. तो दो या दो से ज़्यादा जीन्स जो प्रेजेंट हैं, अलग अलग कैरेक्टर के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल हैं, दे आर गोइंग टू सेपरेट ड्यूरिंग गैमीट फॉर्मेशन इंडिपेंडेंटली, they are going to inherit independently and they are going to form new possible combinations. और new possible combinations होने की वजह से हमें different type के phenotypes दिखाई देते हैं. So these were the interpretations of Mendel's monohybrid and Mendel's dihybrid cross. So Mendel's law of segregation is being explained by Mendel's monohybrid cross and law of independent assortment is explained by Mendel's dihybrid cross. Because see, always just remember one thing, here we are going to talk about one gene, हम एक ही जीन की बात करते हैं और एक जीन के दो अलील्स की बात करते हैं. So here we are going to talk about a intragenic situation. एक सिंगल जीन के दो अलील्स हैं, we are going to separation of two alleles are taking place of one single gene. Here we are going to talk about two genes and alleles of two different genes. So two different genes are having four alleles. So it is a intergenic situation and this is a intragenic situation. We are talking about one single gene, here we are talking about two genes. This is how you can differentiate between law of segregation and law of independent assortment. So this was about Mendel, his crosses and the interpretation which he gave. अब if we compare today's knowledge with Mendel's study, then he gave the term factors. These factors are going to resemble what? Genes. मेंडल ने जिनको फैक्टर्स बोला था एक्चुअल में वो क्या थे? जीन्स थे. जीन्स आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर कंट्रोलिंग अ कैरेक्टर. जीन्स पेयर में प्रेजेंट होते हैं होमोलोगस क्रोमोसोम में, ऑल्टरनेटिव फॉर्म्स प्रेजेंट होती हैं, दोज आर अलील्स. He said these pair of factors are going to segregate during gamete formation. That simply means कि gamete formation के टाइम पे homologous chromosomes एक दूसरे से separate होते हैं, segregate होते हैं. So just the terms are different, otherwise everything is just same. So this was all about Mendel. Now we are going to discuss about DNA. So the next topic is DNA. We all know that this term DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is the genetic material for most of the organisms that are surviving on earth, except few of the viruses. सिर्फ कुछ वायरसेस को छोड़कर विच आर हैविंग RNA एज देयर जेनेटिक मटेरियल, रेस्ट ऑल द ऑर्गेनिजम्स आर हैविंग दिस DNA एज देयर जेनेटिक मटेरियल. Genetic material simply means it is having genes, having all the information in coded form, and this DNA is going to lie inside the nucleus of the cell. In eukaryotic cell there is well defined nucleus with proper nuclear membrane, so it will be not coming in contact with the cytoplasm. But if we talk about a prokaryotic cell, there are clear cut nuclear membrane is not present, so this DNA is going to lie in contact with the cytoplasm. In prokaryotes single circular DNA is present. In eukaryotes multiple strands of DNA are present and it is going to be linear. This is what you need to remember about prokaryotic and eukaryotic genetic material. Now if we talk about DNA, This DNA was first extracted, isolated by a scientist, Frederick Mischer. From the pus cells, and he called it nuclein. It was in 1869. So Frederick Mischer first isolated DNA from the pus cells and he gave the term nuclein. Now let's understand what DNA basically is. See, DNA is a polymer of nucleotides. The monomeric unit of DNA is nucleotide. So lots of nucleotides are going to attach with each other, and they are going to form a chain, a long polymer, that is DNA. Now what this nucleotide is made up of? There are three things which are going to form this nucleotide. The first thing is a sugar. Nucleotide में क्या present है? Three things are present. First one is sugar. Sugar कैसी present है? A 5 carbon containing sugar is present, that is deoxyribose sugar. This is a 5 carbon containing sugar. Other than sugar, the second thing that is present is nitrogenous base. Now we are having two type of nitrogenous bases in DNA. How we are going to classify these two types? Depending upon the ring structure they are having. Nitrogenous bases, some of the nitrogenous bases are having double ringed structure, 2 rings are there, and some are having single ringed structure. जिनके पास double ring structure होता है, 2 rings present होती हैं, they are known as purines. And the nitrogenous bases which are having single ringed structure, they are known as pyrimidines. Total 4 nitrogenous bases are there, out of which 2 are purines and 2 are pyrimidines. So adenine and guanine, they are the purines which are having double ring structure, and cytosine and thymine. One other is also there, that is uracil, that is also a pyrimidine. But always remember, cytosine and thymine are going to be present in DNA, but RNA में थाइमीन प्रेजेंट नहीं होता है. थाइमीन की जगह क्या प्रेजेंट होता है? यूरेसिल प्रेजेंट होता है. सो साइटोसिन थाइमीन इन DNA and cytosine uracil in RNA. These are nitrogenous bases, or you can say these are purines and pyrimidines. Third component of nucleotide is, the third one is a phosphate group. There is a phosphate that is associated with 4 oxygen molecules, PO4 negative, and it is responsible for giving negative charge to the DNA. So this is one nucleotide. One nucleotide is made up of sugar, nitrogenous base and phosphate. If this nitrogenous base is associated with sugar only, then it is going to form the nucleoside. Nitrogenous base plus sugar is nucleoside, and when this nucleoside is attached with phosphate, then it is going to form a nucleotide. So DNA is a polynucleotide chain. These nucleotides are going to arrange themselves in a chain, in a linear structure. So let's see how these components are associated with each other. कैसे ये components एक दूसरे से associated होते हैं. So I am going to discuss double helical structure of DNA. This is the double helical structure of DNA, and just remember this double helix was given by two scientists, Watson and Crick. So Watson and Crick gave this double stranded DNA structure. Now what they told about this double stranded DNA structure, क्या बताया उन्होंने? They simply said कि दो strands हैं, this is one strand and this is second strand, and these two strands are helically coiled around each other. ये दोनों strands एक दूसरे के साथ helically coiled हैं. This was the first statement. Now second statement was that these strands are running anti-parallel to each other. ये एक दूसरे के साथ opposite direction में run करते हैं, and it is providing them polarity. How we are going to show its polarity? Say if this is the 5' end of this DNA strand, so the opposite end of this strand is going to be the 3' end. They are running anti-parallel to each other, so this will be the 3' end of another strand and this will be the 5' end of this strand. So दोनों ही एक दूसरे से opposite run करते हैं, so polarity is going to be different. Another thing, the diameter of this DNA strand is, it is 20 angstrom, or you can say 2 nanometer. This is the diameter of this DNA strand, and this is composed of helix. This is making one complete helix. From here up to here, this is one helical turn, and this one helical turn is of 34 angstrom. This is of 34 angstrom और 3.4 नैनोमीटर. ये एक हेलिकल टर्न है कंप्लीट. नाउ इन दिस हेलिकल टर्न देर आर 10 बेस पेयर्स प्रेजेंट. 10 बेस पेयर्स प्रेजेंट हैं. व्हाट डू वी अंडरस्टैंड बाय बेस पेयर्स? नाइट्रोजनस बेसेस आर देयर which are attached with each other by a bond, that is hydrogen bond, like this. Say adenine is there, that is bonded with thymine. Cytosine is going to bond with guanine. Again guanine is going to bond with cytosine. Thymine with adenine. Adenine with thymine. So this is how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 are present over here and next 5 are present over here. So in total 10 are going to be present. And if we see the difference between these two bonds, then it is going to be 3.4 angstrom, or you can say 0.34 nanometer. क्योंकि complete कितना है? 34 angstrom है, यहाँ पर 10 प्रेजेंट है, तो 34/10 इट इज़ 3.4 एंगस्ट्रोम. हर एक बेस पेयर के बीच का डिफरेंस कितना है? दे आर हैविंग अ डिफरेंस ऑफ 3.4 एंगस्ट्रोम. एंड ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, ये जो नाइट्रोजनस बेसिस हैं, इनमें जो बॉन्डिंग होती है दैट इज़ ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी स्पेसिफिक बॉन्डिंग. स्पेसिफिक बॉन्डिंग मीन्स ये रैंडमली एक दूसरे के साथ अटैच्ड नहीं होते हैं. एडेनिन इज ऑलवेज गोइंग टू फॉर्म 2. दिस इज हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड. कौन से बॉन्ड से अटैच्ड होते हैं ये एक दूसरे के साथ? दे आर गोइंग टू बी अटैच्ड विद हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड. सो एडेनिन हमेशा 2 हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड्स के साथ थाइमीन से अटैच्ड होता है, and vice versa is there, and cytosine is going to be attached with guanine with 3 hydrogen bonds. So this is how they are going to show specific base pairing. So this is how in the center hydrogen bond is present. अब जो ये हेलिक्स है, ये जो बाउंड्री है, बाउंड्री पर क्या प्रेजेंट है? बाउंड्री पर प्रेजेंट है शुगर और फॉस्फेट, and these sugar and phosphate are also bonded with each other. Sugar or phosphate, like this, sugar phosphate, sugar phosphate. This is how the boundary of the DNA is made. Sugar is there, then a phosphate, then a sugar, then a phosphate, sugar. इस तरीके से ये complete backbone बनी है DNA की, and these sugar and phosphate, they are attached with each other by phosphodiester बॉन्ड। शुगर और फॉस्फेट के बीच में कौन सा बॉन्ड है? फोस्फोडाइस्टर बॉन्ड प्रेजेंट है। सो एंड द थर्ड बॉन्ड इज बिटवीन शुगर, this is the sugar, so this sugar is attached with a nitrogenous base and nitrogenous base is attached with hydrogen bonding with another, so here also a sugar is going to be present, here also sugar, then it is attached with the phosphate, then with the sugar. This is how the sequence is going on. So third bond present है इस nitrogenous base और sugar के बीच में, that third bond between nitrogenous base plus and sugar, this is glycosidic bond. So we talked about three bonds. I am just revising these three bonds. बैकबोन कौन सा बॉन्ड बनाता है? शुगर और फॉस्फेट के बीच में प्रेजेंट है फॉस्फोडाइस्टर बॉन्ड, दैट इज गोइंग टू फॉर्म द बैकबोन ऑफ द डीएनए। बीच में प्रेजेंट है हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड, दैट इज बिटवीन द नाइट्रोजनस बेसिस। अगर एडेनिन थाइमिन है तो दो हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड्स प्रेजेंट हैं। साइटोसिन गुआनिन है, देयर विल बी 3 हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड्स, they are going to be present here. Now these nitrogenous bases they are attached with the backbone, वो backbone के साथ attached हैं, किसके साथ? with sugar, and the bond between this nitrogenous base and sugar is a glycosidic bond. So this is how 3 bonds are present in the DNA and these 3 bonds are responsible for the stabilization of the DNA स्ट्रैंड, ये डीएनए स्ट्रैंड की स्टेबलाइजेशन के लिए रिक्वायर्ड हैं। नाउ टर्न बनने की वजह से, हेलिक्स बनने की वजह से, हेयर आर ग्रूव्स दैट आर गोइंग टू फॉर्म। अ बिग साइज ग्रूव इज देयर, अ स्मॉल साइज ग्रूव इज देयर। ओके, वी कैन शो दिस स्मॉल साइज ग्रूव ओवर हेयर। सो दिस इज द मेजर ग्रूव and this is the minor groove. So this is how, because of helix, 2 grooves are formed. One side major big size groove is there, that is known as major groove, and second side a minor groove is going to be formed. So this is DNA model, that was double helical model that was given by Watson and Crick. Now we will discuss about chromosomes and genes present on the DNA. So let's try to understand how genes are present on a chromosome. I am making a chromosome. This is a chromosome. And on this chromosome, several number of genes are present. And these genes are going to be present in a linear sequence on the chromosome. These blue lines are showing the genes that are present on this chromosome. Now the term gene, it was introduced by a scientist Johansen in 1909 और मेंडल ने इन जीन्स को क्या बोला था? मेंडल called these genes factors. And we know that a gene is going to control a character, and Mendel said that factor is responsible for controlling a character. तो जीन्स के बारे में हम जितना भी जानते हैं, for that there was a organism used, study के लिए जो organism use हुआ था, so experimental organism, that is fruit fly. Fruit fly was used to understand all these things, and the scientific name is Drosophila melanogaster. It is just a small fly that was used for various experiments to know more about genes. तो अगर हम human DNA की बात करते हैं, human genetic material की बात करते हैं, then we are having almost 25,000 to 30,000 genes. We know that 46 chromosomes are there. We are having 46 chromosomes or 23 pair of chromosomes, and on these 46 chromosomes 25,000 to 30,000 genes are present. Now what these genes are basically, these genes are having बायोलॉजिकल इंफॉर्मेशन इन कोडेड फॉर्म फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर प्रोटीन। किसी भी प्रोटीन की जो इंफॉर्मेशन है, प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस की जो इंफॉर्मेशन है वो किसके पास प्रेजेंट है, जीन के पास प्रेजेंट है, इन कोडेड फॉर्म, इन फॉर्म ऑफ नाइट्रोजनस बेसिस ATGC, इस फॉर्म में प्रेजेंट है। सो सीक्वेंस ऑफ न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स प्रेजेंट हैं जीन में, और ये सीक्वेंस ऑफ न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स किसी भी प्रोटीन के सिंथेसिस की इंफॉर्मेशन को कैरी करते हैं। How they are present? These genes are present linearly on a chromosome, and the place where a gene is present. Suppose I am talking about this gene. So this is the position of this gene on the chromosome. The place where this gene is present on a chromosome, that is known as locus. ये इस जीन का locus है. So we identify each and every gene by the help of locus. So it is going to specify that at this particular locus this gene is going to be present. So this is how these genes, and one more thing, these genes are the hereditary units, because when chromosomes are going to be inherited, the genes that are present on that chromosome, they are also going to be inherited. So these are the units of inheritity. Heredity की unit क्या है, gene है, and genes are having the information for proteins. कैसे function करते हैं ये genes? These genes, they are going to be transcribed into mRNA, and this process is going to occur in nucleus, and later on they will be translated into proteins in the cytoplasm. So this is how the genes are going to function. And from where we are going to receive these genes? We are going to receive these genes from parents. Our parents are having equal contribution in the inheritance of the genes. From each of the homologous chromosome, they are going to inherit. Say father is having 46 chromosomes and mother is also having 46 chromosomes. So in the gametes, they are going to contribute equally. 23 are coming from father and 23 are coming from mother, because out of the homologous pair only one chromosome is going to come, and later on they are going to fuse to form the zygote. So we are going to receive these genes because father and mother are going to contribute them during the process of gamete formation, and contribution is always equal, and then fusion is again leading to the formation of a diploid organism. So this is how genes and chromosomes are functioning. So that's all for today. Next time we are going to discuss some more topics like sex determination.